Earlier this year, I had this crazy idea about making a game inside my local museum, and along with it came too many questions about what would be engaging due to the contemplative nature of a museum. And why was an action adventure game turning into a Resident Evil in steroids? The combat system itself posed a challenge, but on top of that, I advanced further and remade some of the systems I programmed earlier this year. And well, as I said, too many questions, and I hope to answer them here. Let's go. To engage with this combat system, I had to make some choices earlier, and one of them was to separate the enemies inside some block. And it made sense, since I was trying to make every enemy unique in the future. So I said, and so I did. I separate them into melee, ranged, and flying enemy. As I said, the thing is to make the enemies unique in the future, so this solid foundation will help me a lot. Inside all of these enemies, there are common systems to them. There's a dynamic strafing that works with many enemies so they don't bump each other. There's a custom pathfinding logic since early development because it was a worry of mine. And a trace system for combat that follow the attack of the enemy, so it looks cooler. And I know this kind of system is not the best, but I still wanted to figure it out on my own, so it's what I did. And as I said, the ranged enemy has everything the melee one have, and the combat logic will go on like this. Since preservation is a thing inside the game, because in the end you are playing as a security guard, I opted for a taser gun. You will tase the enemy sometimes and it will build up a meter inside him. He will flee, recover, and then come to search for you again, or try to kill you if you're still in combat. The loop I have in mind is that if I can make the stronger enemy flee and get out outside of the other enemies, I will get back into stealth. That is the intended mechanic of the game. For these ground enemies, I want to implement a grab in the future, but for now, enough is enough. I have ways to use these enemies for tests and other things. The last thing I want to make more consistent is AI versus AI. And it's not on the best states by now. I didn't try hard enough in this one. The problems with the flying enemy came in its early conception. To make anything flying in real is a headache, and after that every other system I found on Fab or YouTube tutorials was unresponsive and too slow or too fast at the expense of getting stuck in every possible corner. And being honest, at the end it was nice to program a movement system on my own, specifically one that could replicate the patrol and follow behavior on the ground enemies, along with not breaking apart on each task. There's an update I want to make for them in the future, that is to give these flying enemies melee and ranged attacks. Not in the way it would walk on the ground, but like a charge attack or something like descending on its prey. Having that many problems with these enemies didn't go that rough in the end. I invested much of the time I spent while not having good ideas into other side systems I already wanted to program all along. Since I'm too egotistical to watch that many tutorials, I ended up working around, giving me more room to breathe and think about new solutions. And I think it worked. After thinking about more deeply into the museum architecture, I ended up switching the layout of its white box, which is basically the first idea but mirrored. That's it. This came to me especially because I felt like needing more horizontal space to iterate my level design ideas for rooms, hallways, and puzzles. My main focus with this early cut of the building is to get it to be more recognizable for gameplay and level design only. Not needing that many icons popping on the HUD constantly to make the game work. And to test the changes I made into the white box, I needed a door system that suited my needs for developing spaces and spatial puzzles. My first interest was to lock the player into situations that would be diverse enough to not feel boring, as he would have to look around rooms and search to find his way out. For that, the system should be modular, and against my expectations it was pretty easy to do. My second thought on this was that these doors should serve as a mean of tension. Imagine you're trying to flee from enemies and you find a nice and open door. Well, guess what's behind it. Since I already made a climbing movement system in this game, I was missing something related to ladders. This modular procedural test system is the start of what I want to use in the future for more cinematic approaches, I guess. With the exterior area of this museum, like climbing the ladder in the rain or something like that. The part of it being procedural is so I can change in the future to accommodate more kinds of tests and context to them based on the landscape. Especially since the cinematic approach was a thing in my mind, another context I thought was this ladder locked behind a gate. Ooh, mystery emerging. Early developing the lantern system, I thought about getting these nice animations from Lyra to make a more intricate animation responses for my movement system. And well, I made a lot of things and written a bunch of code to make the logic behind it operate well. I got animations for it drawing and shooting the gun and holding it for a while after aiming. The intention was to make a system that was functional and still pleasant to watch, not aimed at realism at all. And well, I integrated it all with a fully functional crouching system that is the backbone of the movement system. This is a stealth game after all. So in the future I will implement more mechanics around sound detection and such, but for now it's all good. A thing that always bothered me was that my early implementations of a night and day cycle was a total mess. The shadows cracked and it got all over the place, but not in the way I intended. So I dug it all through the documentation, didn't understand it all, but for now I have a working outdoor lighting system. A question that people made me already, and it's nice to clarify by now, is that this game will have 2 sessions in every stage. By day you train your abilities in the park, so you use them by night at the museum. This was not intentional. Well, this is my first long form video that I do entirely in English. It was quite a ride and I liked it a lot. I plan to keep on doing it, especially because this game won't get around any soon. And for me to get around publishers and other things, I first have to implement more things to have at least an early alpha build that is more polished than it is right now. But I wanted to make this video about this game specifically, not the other things I'm working. After all, this is my biggest project and the greatest in scale of the other ones. And I really wanted to give it more attention this later part of the year. And as it's advancing into early alpha state, I can now go to talk with publishers and other things that I'm trying right now to get resources for this project to come to life. I didn't do the whole year developing these features. I got some breaks in the middle. But for now that's it. The ending of the video is really slow, but I'd really appreciate your comments and your thoughts about the project and your subscribing. So see you next time.